All right, so today we're going to dive into something really fun
Okay.
and sneaky and fascinating.
Sounds good.
You know that book you sent over?
Hmm.
How to Win Every Argument.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's full of these little tricks
Hmm.
called logical fallacies.
Right, right.
And once you learn about them, you start seeing them everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a secret code
Yeah,
that people use to sound really persuasive even when their arguments are full of holes.
exactly. And the best part is,
Yeah.
once you know the code,
Mm-hmm.
you can use it too.
Lot
Just
of
kidding. Don't worry.
Right.
I'm not going to turn you into like a master manipulator or anything.
Yeah.
But little
What?
persuasive edge never hurt anyone.
It's more about helping you spot when you're being manipulated and then, of course, crafting your own arguments so that they're more effective.
Absolute. Think of it like this.
Okay.
You're about to become an argument ninja,
Uh-huh.
dodging faulty logic left and right.
I like it.
So, ready for our first logical fallacy?
Let's do it.
It's a classic.
Okay.
It's called ad hominem.
Ad hominem.
Have you heard of this one?
Oh yeah, ad hominem literally translates to the person.
Okay.
And it's all about attacking the person making the argument instead of the argument itself.
Well, it's like the oldest trick in the book.
It is.
Like, imagine this.
Okay.
You're arguing for a higher minimum wage.
Okay.
And someone's like, well, you wouldn't understand.
Right.
You've never even run a business.
Exactly.
They're not addressing your actual points
Oh,
about
yeah.
that living wages or economic impact or anything like that.
It's just a distraction.
Yeah,
It's just trying to discredit you personally.
exactly.
It plays on our emotions.
Totally.
You know, it makes us more likely to dismiss an argument
Right.
if we dislike the person who's giving it.
It's like just because someone doesn't own a restaurant
Right.
doesn't mean they can't have a valid opinion about the price of a burger, right?
Precisely, the quality of an argument should stand on its own,
Yes.
regardless of who's making it.
Okay, so ad hominem,
Sure.
check. Now on to another sneaky tactic,
Okay.
the bandwagon appeal. This one's all about peer pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Arguing that something must be true
Yeah.
because a lot of people believe it.
We see this one all the time in advertising.
Oh, totally.
Think of slogans like America's #1choice or millions of users can't be wrong.
Yeah.
It's like they're trying to convince you just because other people are doing it, you should too.
It's like that feeling when you're about to order a coffee
Yeah.
and everyone in line is getting pumpkin spice lattes.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, okay, fine, pumpkin spice latte it is,
Right.
even if you secretly prefer caramel macchiato.
It's the power of social influence.
Oh, yeah.
Just because something is popular doesn't make it right
Right.
or logical
Exactly.
or the best choice for you.
Okay, time for another logical fallacy.
All right, I'm ready.
This one's called the genetic fallacy,
Okay.
and it's all about judging an idea based on where it came from,
Interesting.
not on its own merits.
So, like, you can't enjoy pizza because it was invented in Italy. And you don't like Italian politics or something.
Exactly. It's completely irrelevant to the pizza itself.
It makes no sense.
Okay, get ready for this next one. The straw man fallacy.
Straw man. Okay.
This one's a master of disguise.
Uh-huh.
It's like setting up a flimsy straw target just so you can easily knock it down.
Right. Just to make yourself feel better.
Yeah. Someone using the straw man fallacy will take your argument,
Okay.
twist it into something totally different
Right.
and easier to attack,
Way easier.
and then act like they've defeated your original point.
We see this one a lot.
Over time.
Especially in, like, political debates.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Where they take a complex issue and then just oversimplify it.
It's so frustrating.
It's really just a way of avoiding actually engaging with the nuances of the issue.
It's like, hey, that's not even what I said.
Exactly.
But now everyone's focused on this fake version of your argument.
Right. And it's so much easier to argue against a caricature.
Okay, ready for one more before we take a break?
Hit me.
This one is a classic fear-mongering tactic,
Okay.
the slippery slope.
Oh, yeah. Slippery slope, everybody's favorite.
Fasten your seatbelts, folks.
Oh, boy.
This fallacy takes you on a wild ride of what-ifs.
It's like, if we let kids choose their own bedtime, then society will crumble.
It's like we let kids choose their bedtime.
Right?
Next thing you know, they'll be staying up all night eating candy for dinner
Never going to school.
and never going to school.
Yeah, the classic.
The problem is there's usually no logical connection
Right.
between the initial action
Right.
and these exaggerated consequences.
It's all about fear and, resistance to change
Totally.
by painting this picture of impending doom.
Even if it's totally unrealistic.
Exactly, and it usually is.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground with these fallacies,
We have.
but You might be wondering,
Yeah.
how does this actually play out in the real world?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. It's like they're not just these like abstract concepts
Right.
that you just find in textbooks.
Yeah, it's like I never really thought about it before,
Mm.
but now I'm like, oh my gosh.
It's eye-opening, isn't it?
Yeah.
Once you start to learn about this stuff,
Yeah.
you realize it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's in conversations with your friends and family.
Oh, totally.
It's in the news.
Yes.
It's in political debates.
It's in advertising.
Everywhere.
It's like they're lurking around every corner just waiting to trip us up.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to be aware of them.
Okay, so we know what to look for now,
Right.
but what can we do about it?
Well, here's the good news.
Okay.
Once you start recognizing these fallacies, you can use that knowledge to your advantage.
Oh, so we can use their powers for good
Exactly.
instead of evil.
Not to manipulate people, of course.
Right. We're not trying to create an army of argument robots or anything.
No, but a playful understanding of these fallacies can actually make you a more persuasive communicator.
Interesting.
Right. It's like having a secret weapon
Yeah.
in your back pocket.
Yeah.
You don't have to whip it out all the time,
Right.
but it's good to know you have it if you need it.
Okay. I like that.
So, for example, let's say you're trying to convince your neighbor to start a community garden.
Yeah.
Instead of just listing all the benefits
Right.
for you, you could frame it in a way that appeals to their interests.
Yeah.
Maybe you could emphasize how it'll increase property values
No, that's good.
or create a nice space for kids to play.
Right.
You're not manipulating them.
Right.
You're just presenting the argument in a way that resonates with them.
I like it.
The book actually gives this great example
Yeah.
about this guy who convinced his friend to try escargot.
Escargot.
Snails.
Snails.
Yeah. And the friend was totally grossed out by the idea.
Yeah.
But the guy was like, come on, it's just garlic butter, but with extra protein.
Okay, he's not wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a ridiculous comparison.
Right.
But it worked. The friend was so focused on the garlic butter
Right.
that he was willing to try something that he normally wouldn't.
It's like a Jedi mind trick.
Yeah. Kinda.
But for arguments.
Right. But remember,
Yeah.
we're talking about playful persuasion,
Right.
not deception.
Right, of course.
The key is to use these techniques ethically.
Okay, good point.
Don't go tricking your friends into eating snails.
Unless they're into that sort of thing.
Right, exactly.
So we've talked about spotting fallacies.
Yes.
And we've talked about using them playfully.
Right.
But what happens when we're on the other side of the table?
Okay.
What if we're the ones
Yeah.
being hit with the fallacy?
Right.
What's the best way to counter that?
Another great question. Yeah, that's a great question. It's like,
It's one thing to spot it,
it's one thing to spot it.
but how do you actually deal with it?
Right. How do you dismantle it in the moment?
Yeah, especially when you're in the heat of the moment
Right.
and someone's hitting you with like the
Yeah.
rapid fire slippery slope.
It's hard, you know?
It's really hard.
You can get flustered.
Yeah,
And then you're just not thinking clearly.
totally.
So what do we do?
So first,
Yeah.
just breathe,
Okay.
stay calm.
Don't let them see you sweat.
Exactly, don't let them see you sweat.
Okay.
Because then you're just playing into it.
Right.
And once you've kind of taken that moment to center yourself,
Okay.
try to gently guide the conversation back to logic and reason.
So instead of like meeting fallacy with fallacy,
Right.
we're hitting them with the facts.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that might look like you literally pointing out the flaw in their logic. So like calling them out on their BS.
Yes. But nicely.
Okay.
You know, you don't have to be confrontational about it, but you can say something like,
Yeah.
well, you know, just because a lot of people believe something doesn't make it true.
Right.
What evidence do you have to actually support that?
I like that. So you're calling it out,
Right.
but you're not making it like
Right.
a whole thing.
You're inviting them to have a more rational discussion.
What about with ad hominem?
But with ad hominem, it's great
Yeah.
because you can just say, I understand that you might disagree with my perspective,
Okay.
but can we please just focus on the issue
Okay.
rather than making this personal?
Yeah, set those boundaries.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so we've stayed calm.
Yes.
We've called them out.
Right.
But they're still not budging.
Right. Some people are just,
Stuck in their ways.
they are married to that fallacy.
Yeah, what do you do then?
You know what?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to walk away.
Really?
Yeah, you don't have to win every argument.
Huh.
And sometimes the most productive thing you can do is just
Just walk away.
walk away.
I guess you can lead a fallacy to logic,
Right.
but you can't make it think.
Exactly. You can't make it think that's a good one. But
It's,
you know what?
yeah.
Even if you don't change their mind right then and there,
Yeah.
you're planting a seed.
Okay.
And that seed might blossom.
So maybe someday in the future.
Exactly.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So don't get discouraged
Okay.
if you don't, like, change someone's mind immediately.
Right. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
Okay. So as we wrap up this deep dive
Yes.
into the world of logical fallacies,
Right.
what's the key takeaway for our listener?
I think the most important thing to remember is
Yeah.
just being aware of these persuasive tactics,
Mm-hmm.
both the good and the bad.
Right.
It allows you to engage in these more
Yeah.
interesting and productive and, frankly, more enjoyable arguments.
Right. You can actually like enjoy a good debate
Exactly.
when you're not being bombarded by fallacies left and right.
Right. And who knows, you might
Right.
even impress your friends
Oh, yeah.
with your new skills.
Become the argument ninja
Exactly.
that you always knew you could be.
That you were born to be.
This deep dive has been a wild ride.
It has.
We've explored the sneaky world of logical fallacies.
We have
Learned how to spot them,
Yeah.
how to use them for good, not evil,
So important.
and how to protect ourselves
Yes.
from the fallacy slingers out there.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been so fun. And to our listener, keep that copy of How to Win Every Argument handy.
Such a good book.
It's a great resource
Yeah.
for anyone who wants to level up their argument game.
Absolutely.
Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and happy arguing.
Bye, everybody.